Why calm men always win? Machiavellian law of emotional control. You already know what keeps costing you. You feel it in your throat when you explain yourself for the fourth time. You feel it in your jaw when you rush to fill the silence. You feel it in your stomach after you send the long paragraph you swore you wouldn't write. You keep paying a tax you don't remember agreeing to. That tax is your volatility. And the collector never misses. Here's the law. You don't have to like it. You don't get a vote. In conflict, negotiation, seduction, politics, and family, the person with the lower pulse sets the terms. Not the smartest, not the loudest, not the one with the best reasons. The one who can remain still while you burn. You think calm is kindness. It isn't. Calm is control. Calm is the authority to decide what matters and what doesn't. Calm doesn't mean gentle. Calm means you govern the temperature, and everyone else adjusts to your climate or suffocates. You've been a thermometer. You reflect the room. You take the bait. You mirror the energy you're given, and you call that being real. The men who win are thermostats. They don't mirror. They regulate. They walk in, and the room conforms. People lean toward them because they crave the boundary of someone who won't get dragged by every ripple. Pause here and count the times your mouth moved first. Count the times you flinched. Count the confessions you made to buy back approval you never had. Think about the meetings where you over-explained until you volunteered information they didn't ask for. Think about your last argument where you said the thing you had to clean up for a week. Think about the apology you gave when the other person should have been apologizing to you. You can't unknow that. You paid for it with status. The Machiavellian law of emotional control is simple to memorize and difficult to live. Whoever controls three things, temperature, tempo, and terms, controls the outcome. You lose because you've been letting strangers set the weather inside you. You lose because you respond in their timing. You lose because you accept their framing and fight on their ground. Temperature. You think you raise your voice because you care, and you do. But caring is not leverage. Composure is. Every spike in your arousal makes you readable, steerable, punishable. It makes you predictable. People don't respect what they can predict. They use it. If they can make you mad, they can make you move. If they can make you anxious, they can make you spend. If they can make you prove, they can make you confess. Tempo. The first person to rush loses. The first person to fill silence pays. The person who's forced to respond on someone else's clock is already in the inferior position. You know this because you've watched it happen to you. Your brain floods, your timeline compresses, and suddenly you're answering questions that aren't even fair, while the calm man lets the seconds eat at you until you volunteer your own rope. Terms. You don't win by arguing accurately inside a bad frame. You win by refusing the premise, by withdrawing oxygen from the frame itself. Emotional control lets you veto bad terms without flailing. Without the veto, you perform. With the veto, you decide what counts as evidence and what counts as noise. That's power. You've mistaken talking for defense. You've been trying to fight volume with volume, speed with speed, detail with detail. You've been trying to make them understand. That instinct is a liability. In power dynamics, explanations rarely persuade. Explanations inventory your vulnerabilities. You think you're defending your position. You're even handing over the map. You're going to see the same pattern everywhere now. It will make you quieter. It should. Watch a negotiation. One person lays out a number and shuts up. The other scrambles to justify, fill, soothe, and bridge. The calm one hears every justification as a confession. You need this. You fear this. You can be pushed here. You won't walk away. Who wins? The person who can let the discomfort do the work for them. Watch a relationship fight. One party provokes and monitors your face like a mirror. You get hot and prove them right. You get provoked and perform their script. They get to be reasonable next to your storm. The calm one looks cruel. Not because they are, but because their refusal to be tossed around exposes how much of your argument is an attempt to regulate your own tension. That exposure feels like hostility. It's sovereignty. Watch a group test. Someone takes a shot at you to see if you'll bleed. If you bite, you're food. If you explain, you're prey. If you smile as if you heard a bird chirp, the test dissolves. Calm denies the attacker their reward. Predators move toward reward. They move away from blank walls. You got taught a fake rule. If you have the better argument, you win. That is a school rule. That is a debating club rule. In the world, the rule is colder. The person who refuses to be destabilized gets to define what the argument is. You aren't calm because you think calm means soft. You've tried calm as a tone, a costume, an emoji. It didn't work. You tried to be nice while your heart sprinted. They felt the sprint. Calm isn't a tone. Calm is the absence of need. Calm is the willingness to absorb outbursts without being recruited by them. Calm doesn't mean passive. Calm means readiness to act last, with finality. You want a trick. There isn't one. There's only a switch you either install or you don't. The willingness to let something break, instead of breaking yourself to save it. If you can't let a deal die, you cannot negotiate. If you can't let a conversation end unresolved, you cannot lead it. If you can't let someone misinterpret you, you cannot protect your time. If you can't walk away, you will crawl. Now listen carefully. You are paying twice. Once for the mistake, again for the flinch. People don't punish the mistake as much as they punish the panic. Panic signals permission. Calm signals limits. When you drown in your own adrenaline, you telegraph that there will be no consequence, only performance. You are entertaining. You are not in charge. Name the mechanisms so you can't pretend you didn't see them. The explanation tax. Every extra word you add under pressure is debited from your credibility. You think you're bulletproofing your case. You're demonstrating you don't believe you have authority. Authority speaks once. Authority is allergic to pleading. When you explain beyond the minimum, you teach them that you will bend if pressed. They will press. The silence auction. In any tense exchange, silence is an asset that appreciates. Whoever sells first, sells cheap. You've been selling first. You fill the space so they don't have to. You do their labor, and then you wonder why they treat you like labor. The tempo trap. They push you to answer, right now. They call it urgent. You obey. You move on their drumbeat. That beat is a leash. When you accept emergency as normal, you outsource your prefrontal cortex to whoever says urgent with the most confidence. Calm doesn't accept tempo without evidence. The mirror debt. Emotional people create work for others. Calm people create a vacuum. The anxious person tries to settle the calm person. That debt flips status. You pay it with jokes, gestures, overcompensation. You become the entertainment around someone else's silent center. The arousal tax. Once your heart rate passes a threshold, your IQ drops. You argue worse. You remember less. You miss the pattern. Emotional hijack is not a moral failure. It's a tactical failure. You refuse to accept that your physiology is part of the game. You pretend you can out-argue adrenaline. You can't. The frame theft. They accuse you. You defend the accusation. You think you're clearing your name. You just accepted their reality as the reality. You are now playing goalie in a game they invented. Calm refuses the invitation. Calm makes the other person prove their premise. Calm says, "What makes you believe that?" And waits. You used to give them your diary. They will always ask for your diary. You don't have to hand it over. This is where you will try to get motivated. Don't. Motivation is a spike. Spikes are precisely what make you predictable, readable, steerable. You don't need a spike. You need a thermostat. You need a dull, Cold, reliable refusal to donate your state. You're going to remember this in the next conflict. Not because you want to, because your body will want to sprint, and you'll hear a sentence you hate. If they can make you rush, they own you. If they can make you loud, they can make you wrong. If they can make you explain, they can make you small. You don't have to be born with this. You do have to pay for it. The price is not pleasant. You will sit in silence that makes your skin itch. You will watch someone distort your words, and you will not take the bait. You will feel your fingers want to type the long message, and you will let the urge crest and crash without moving. You will watch yourself want to rescue the conversation, and you will not. You will let the discomfort do the work for you. If there is no work to be done, you will let the conversation die. That death will teach you who was worth your time. Here is a scene you recognize. You're in a meeting. Someone says, "We're going to need you to stay late all week." No budget for overtime. You believe in fairness. You start explaining your workload, your commitments, your past sacrifices. You're pleading your case like a defendant. The calm man says, "No. If that's required, we'll need to adjust scope or comp. Which do you prefer?" Then he stops. He doesn't smile. He doesn't fill. He doesn't justify. He lets the discomfort find its rightful owner. It crawls off him and onto the person who tried to give it away. Watch your appetite for approval. You call it fairness. You call it being reasonable. You want harmony. Harmony without leverage is you playing servant to someone else's appetite. Calm isn't anti-harmony. Calm is anti-bribery. You stop buying peace with pieces of yourself. This is going to cost you. You will lose some people who are here for your performance. They were not your people. They were your audience. An audience is not a tribe. An audience leaves when the show changes. You are not a stage. Everything in you will recoil when you practice this for real. Your old identity will scream traitor. Your old habits will beg you to say something, do something, show them. You had a religion, the religion of being understood. Emotional control is blasphemy to that religion. You stop worshiping at the altar of their approval. You stop leading offerings of confession. You stop praying for fairness. You start making terms. You're going to ask, what if they escalate? Good. That's how you know it's working. When you stop dancing, they either sit down or they thrash. The thrash is data. It exposes dependency. Dependency is leverage. Calm men let the escalation reveal the truth. Not because they enjoy it, but because they value reality more than comfort. Reality is cheaper in the long run. You'll ask, what if I'm wrong? Calm can handle wrong. Calm can say, you might be right, without bleeding. Calm can apologize once without groveling for a month. Calm can make amends without building a shrine. Calm can look at evidence and change course without a public ceremony. Calm is not allergic to humility. Calm just doesn't buy forgiveness with hysteria. You'll ask, isn't this manipulative? Manipulation is trying to control others to avoid feeling what you don't want to feel. Calm is controlling yourself, so you stop making others responsible for your feelings. If you use calm to avoid accountability, people will feel the rot and they will punish you eventually. If you use calm to enforce terms you're willing to uphold, you will be heavy in the right ways and light in the right places. The difference is consequence. Calm without consequence is a costume. Calm with consequence is power. There is one sentence you can use to measure your control in any situation. Memorize it. I can live with that. If you can say it and mean it, you're calm. If you can't, you're bargaining with your nervous system. People can hear the bargain. They exploit the bargain. You've been exploited. You can't hide your state. Your voice betrays. Your eyes betray. Your timing betrays. You thought you were tricking people with words. People don't listen to your words. They listen to when you stop. They listen to whether you flinch. They listen to whether you tolerate silence. They listen to whether you accept bad terms just to feel okay again. They don't consciously articulate it. They act on it. That's why you keep being so surprised at how things turn out. You talk yourself into believing your words matter. Your state mattered. Your state lost. Now the part you won't want to hear. You will not get credit for this. Calm does not announce itself. Calm does not come with applause. Calm will look like coldness to people who need you chaotic to feel safe. Calm will look like cruelty to people who fed on your explanations. Calm will be accused of being manipulative by people who can no longer move you with their flares. Calm will be hated by the parts of you that use chaos to avoid choosing. If you do this right, your life will get quieter. Quieter does not mean easier. Quieter means fewer stupid crises. Quieter means fewer arguments that go nowhere. Quieter means fewer commitments you didn't agree to. Quieter means you'll sit with unsolved problems just long enough to solve them. Quieter means some doors never open again, and you're fine with that. You don't get both, the rush of being emotional and the authority of being calm. You've been trying to keep the thrill and borrow the power. That's why you keep running tabs with people who are colder than you. They never forget. They never forgive what you pay them with, your reactions. You can stop paying. There is no pep talk here. There is a decision. You decide whether your nervous system is private property or a public park. You decide whether strangers get to light fires in you because they're bored. You decide whether your attention is on a leash anyone can yank. You decide whether you belong to you. When you walk into the next test, there will be 3 points where you lose it. The initial spike eyes on you, a jab, a deadline. The echo your brain replays it and adds spice. The urge, the itch in your teeth to deliver the perfect line that fixes everything. If you can hold your ground through those 3 without moving, you will watch their power collapse in real time. Not with a bang, with a deflate. You didn't defeat them. You denied them a subscription. Here is where you either become intolerably calm, or you keep entertaining. You will step out of conversations that used to own you. You will not pick up calls that drain you. You will not explain decisions that don't require public comment. You will not accept urgent as a spell. You will state terms once and let people select themselves. Most will reveal themselves by how they handle your boundary. That revelation is a gift. It looks like loss. It is a win. You wanted this to be inspiring. It isn't. It's a mirror. You see the jitter in your own eyes. You see how cheap your "I'm fine" looks when you're begging inside. You see how often you tried to buy respect with a performance. You see the pattern that made other people's moods more important than your word. You see how you trained them to manage you. You trained them. You can untrain them, not with speeches, with absence. You will think of someone while hearing this. The one who gets you, the one who can make you flip the table in 2 texts, the one you rehearse responses for in the shower. There's your test. Your calm doesn't exist until you run it there. Not to punish, to reclaim the veto you handed over. You don't announce it. You don't threaten. You don't explain. You remove your volatility from their menu. When this ends, you will want to tell someone you learned about emotional control. Don't. Practice it. The moment you perform your insight for applause, you sell it. Keep it. Let people discover the change when they run the old software and it returns an error. Let them feel the absence of the toy. You've spent years confusing chaos with passion and volatility with authenticity. That was cute. It was expensive. Calm is not peace. Calm is governance. Calm is the machine that holds you still while storms pass and offers you a lever when fights are unavoidable. Calm men always win because they don't need to. Needing to win is leverage against you. Being willing to lose on the surface to win the structure is how you stop being someone else's episode. The law doesn't care whether you agree. It's gravity. You can flap your arms while you fall. Or you can learn how bodies drop, how to bend your knees on impact, How to rise without announcing it. How to walk through a room like the room already belongs to you, because your inner climate cannot be bought. You have one job in the next confrontation. Not to be right, not to be liked, not to be understood. To govern your state until the other person shows their hand. To let the silence chew. To let the temperature normalize. To let urgency prove itself, or die. To hold still long enough to see whether this is worth you. If your chest tightens right now, good. That's the part of you that's embarrassed by how cheaply you used to sell yourself. Listen to it. Not to obey. To remember. You don't need to talk your way out anymore. You only need to stop giving your pulse away. You know what to do. You knew before this started. You didn't want to pay the price. Now you can't unknow the bill. Calm is expensive. Panic is bankruptcy. Choose.